I do use my master's in psychology to help people, especially with the mental shift of making quote unquote easy money, yet sacrificing what you want to do. And I truly believe in moving into fulfilling and meaningful work.
This is the Building a Lifestyle Business Podcast, where we inspire solopreneurs like you to win back your life by teaching you how to build businesses that maximize your freedom, flexibility, and income, all without trading time for money. Here's your host, Nick Murphy.
Hey there, my friend, and welcome to the Building a Lifestyle Business Podcast. My name is Nick Murphy, and I am honored to be your host. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Listen, if you're a frequent listener, you know I love you. Thanks for checking out yet another episode of the show. This is actually the season 1 finale episode, so you're in for a treat in a lot of ways. I'll talk about that in just a second. If you are a new listener, I'm excited that you're here, and I'm going to do everything I can in the next 30 minutes to give you a lot of value, to pull out something from this guest story that can inspire you to take additional action. Or if you haven't started yet, get in the game, because if this interview isn't proof that you can come from literally anything and create a business on your terms, I don't know what to tell you. Stay tuned. You are in for a treat. And with that, my guest today is Kat McLead. And I got to warn you, this episode, it made me a little uncomfortable. It's a little bit racy, and I wasn't fully ready for the details of the specifics, rather, of her background. But like I said, I think it goes to show that regardless of what business or career you come from, like actually anything, literally anything, is possible when you dedicate yourself to follow your curiosity and create that lifestyle business, one that fits your needs and your season of life. I'm not going to leave you hanging any longer. I'm not big on the tease thing. So without further ado, please enjoy my interview with Kat McLead. My guest today is Kat McLead. She's the creator of the Stay-at-Home Mompreneur, the proven framework for creating a highly profitable business that you love while working only 2 hours a day. Kat, thrilled to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here with you, Nick.
I got to ask, 2 hours a day, it almost sounds too good to be true. Let's we're going to get into more of that, but is that actually possible? Is that a thing?
It's absolutely possible. I help all of my moms create businesses. None of my moms work more than 20 hours a week. I work about 15 at this point.
That's awesome. I want to get into exactly what you do, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that a little later in the show. But as we usually do, I want to start just kind of by going back in time. Take us back in the day to what you thought your initial plan was as you came out of undergrad and you looked at this big career. And I know we all had some thoughts or some limitations or some beliefs around what actually success in a career looked like. Share a little bit about your initial kind of perspective as you came out of school and what you ended up doing right out of that.
Okay. Well, I went and got my undergrad for psychology. I also have my master's in psychology, but that's a later story. So coming out of my undergrad, I decided to move to Los Angeles. While in undergrad, I started stripping to pay off some credit card bills. And to just backtrack a little bit, I grew up in a very abusive household. I was beaten, threatened, belittled on a regular basis, and I was a bit screwed up. So hence my undergrad in psychology and my master's in psychology. So this gave me the confidence to move out to Los Angeles on my own and not be under my father's financial thumb. However, when I arrived in LA, I found out that all the clubs do lap dancing, which I wasn't cool with after being manhandled by my father for so many years. So I wound up becoming a dominatrix. I really enjoyed this for a brief period of time. I got really burned out. So I decided to niche down to only the things I enjoyed or tolerated the most. And this is how at the age of 22, I actually found out that when you niche, you grow rich. It was not a game plan. I thought I was going to have to pick up a secondary, like quote unquote, normal job. And what really happened is my business exploded when I niched down, and I more than doubled my already high multi-$100 an hour rate.
All right. I told you guys in the intro, it's going to be a little different. It'll be a little racy at the beginning. And okay, so you get into this business, you even niche down. So you can niche down in anything, guys. Let that be a lesson to you if you haven't figured it out yet. I'm very rarely speechless, but I'm kind of like, all right, what's the...
Well, I'll fill in here.
I don't want to get too into detail, but like, how do you determine a niche, and then like, how much money, and then why? Obviously, you're not in that game anymore. So walk us through just the psychology, since you brought it up, of that decision and how you arrived at the opportunity or the chance to get out of that if you chose to.
I still to this day, my biggest superpower in helping my clients is finding their niche, to find the most profitable subset of what they enjoy doing. And that is still my superpower to this day because of my first business when I accidentally niched down and became rich. So the way I did it is just like I said, it was the element of fetish that I enjoy the most. And then maybe some things that I tolerated. I really did not like the full spectrum of domination. After, 6 to 8 months, I was really burned out on it. It just, my clientele level went up. I attracted a much higher level clientele. I had regulars for years and years. And that's how I learned to niche down and not be afraid of it. And that's exactly how I help my moms now niche down their businesses and get very, very specified. And that's how they've grown successful businesses in very limited hours a week.
So let's dig into the temptation, both to kind of niche down into that space and then stay in it for the time that you did. You're making really good money. What was, just to ballpark that for us, what kind of money are we talking here in this niched fetish business of yours?
I made about $400 an hour.
Damn. Okay. So
that was 20 years ago.
There had to be some push pull in terms of, okay, I'm assuming you didn't want to do that forever. Is that right?
I didn't even want to do it then. I was just so used to making my first real quote unquote job was stripping, where I never ever made less than $100-something an hour. So it's so hard to go back to making a quote unquote a normal wage. So that was just what I was really used to.
How did you get there when you did walk away? Were you able to go quickly into a business where you were able to generate that same kind of money? Or was there a push pull internally about this doesn't feel right? It doesn't align with what I want to be doing. Probably didn't feel good at times, but you really needed or liked the money. How'd you rationalize those two opposites?
For many years, I did this fetish business for about 5 years where I really did not like it. I would burn out. I would take a break. I would travel somewhere like India and then I would come back and I would do it again because I was just so used to the money. How I finally transitioned out is some of my regulars could see that I was unhappy. I had known some of these men for years, and one of my longest regulars and I were talking and I was very honest with him, and he wound up hiring me to start a division of his company. And I blew that sucker up. And to this day, I think, 13 years later or 14 years later, it's still one of his most successful divisions of his company.
So what was that job? What did you do? Were you COO? Were you kind of like leading marketing? Were you helping them niche? What was that role? Because I think the transition is really important here from something that I'm sure a lot of listeners can't necessarily relate to in that fetish business to something that a lot of us might be a little more either comfortable thinking through or certainly relatable to our experience.
My official title was marketing director. And as you can imagine, I became a very good marketer for my fetish business.
So when he hired you to run his division, was it in a related industry? Was it totally different? We obviously don't want to talk about the name of the company because we don't want people backtracking to who this guy was. But what were you doing when he hired you on initially?
Well, yeah, to not backtrack, I was doing marketing for him. I grew a division. I started a big conference for, I don't want to get too into detail, for people higher up in companies. I started a very successful conference bringing them together. And this has grown and grown over the decade in my absence.
All right. So let's leave that part of the story behind here as we move into kind of more traditional marketing. How long did you work in this division? Kind of how was the money? How was that transition from the thing that you had known that aligned with kind of your past and your upbringing into this more quote unquote normal job that allowed you to take that next step in your journey and become an entrepreneur?
I was grateful for this opportunity because it felt really safe moving into a business with a person that I had known for 5 years who had literally worshiped at my feet for 5 years. So I came into the company feeling a little bit more like Queen Bee. And I didn't feel like I was starting at the bottom rung. And when I was having so much success and I was getting a lot of praise and accolades for it, it felt great. However, I am an entrepreneur. I am my own boss, and I did not do well with having to answer to someone repeatedly.
So talk to me a little bit more about your day-to-day business now and kind of how you spend your time. You went through the fetish business, you moved into a marketing role. You jumped out on your own. Sounds like there was an alignment there, just kind of innate in who you were that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, you wanted to call the shots. You were quite literally used to being in charge. How did you build that business, and what was the most challenging part as you set out to do that?
Well, there was a transition from that corporate gig that was not for me. I decided to get my master's in psychology because doing a lot of therapy helped me overcome being as screwed up. And as my second year graduate school project, I chose to help women transition out of the sex industry, for obvious reasons. I wanted to help others that were trapped in that space who didn't know how to transition out. I wanted to help them move out. And that is how I accidentally became a business coach, because these women were used to making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars an hour for the high class escorts. And all of a sudden they needed to replicate high income in low amount of hours. And that was actually the basis for my current stay-at-home mom entrepreneur framework, helping them find the most profitable ideas that they could then transition out of the sex industry into and still be their own boss.
Let's debunk some myths here, because I think there's a presumption, fair or unfair, that some people that are in that business don't have a lot of other skills, or maybe they're not smart, or maybe they're not motivated, or they don't have the confidence. Debunk that myth for us. You've worked with a lot of people that have that background. Are there just incredibly talented, driven people that go that route because the hours and money make sense and for no other reason, and they're fully capable of jumping really seamlessly and easily into something more traditional?
Yes, that is the case. And there is also, of course, just like in any industry, the opposite case. However, most people do have innate skills and talents. A lot of the sex industry workers that I personally worked with, they had abusive backgrounds like me, and that prevented them from feeling like enough, or they just got used to the money. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons why people enter the sex industry. However, most people, if not all, do have some kind of talent that can be parlayed into a profitable business. I love to use the example of that Marie Kondo lady who rolls clothes into drawers, and she's making bank doing something that she loves, and it's bringing joy to others. And normally you would not think of monetizing to such a degree organizational skills.
Let's talk about the psychology for a minute. How much of your work as a business coach in those early years with those types of folks was really working on them from the inside out, so to speak? Was it a lot of psychology, a lot of changing perspective, or were they just like, all right, I'm going to leave that behind, I'm going to go do this? I'm assuming you had some incredibly cool stories. If there's a quasi-clean one you can share with us, I'd love to hear more.
I still think mindset is a minimum of 75% of the story, even with my stay-at-home mom entrepreneurs. The mindset is what gets in the way. So yes, I do use my master's in psychology to help people, especially with the mental shift of making quote unquote easy money, yet sacrificing what you want to do. And I truly believe in moving into fulfilling and meaningful work. So right now, I focus on fulfillment and meaning above all else, and marry that into high profits. And one of the stories that I can share with you was one of the women I worked with. She was an amazing makeup artist. Now, from the outside, that might not seem like a humongous great skill, but her makeup skills were like she was doing art on her eyelids. It looked like airbrush work. And now she's transitioned into the Hollywood industry, and she's making fantastic money doing something that she was naturally good at, something that she loved, and on her terms.
Anytime you start something new, there's always highs and lows. And I always like to ask every one of my guests, just given your current business now, working with stay-at-home moms, what's been the lowest point in that business, and how have you pushed through it?
The lowest point in this business was for me actually deciding to start it again. I was a pampered stay-at-home mom. I fully expected to remain a stay-at-home mom. My husband is a very high corporate earner, and I did not imagine that I was going to get so restless and unhappy and feel so unfulfilled staying at home and actually want to scale my business.
So flipping that around a little bit, what's been the highest high? What do you get the most juice from working with stay-at-home moms in your business today?
having them be more than mom again and feeling great about themselves and feeling like they really can have fulfillment and meaning outside of motherhood and still be moms first. So it's just about us owning, like us moms, we lose a big piece of ourselves when we stay at home with our kids. Even though it's the best job ever, a sense of identity really gets lost, especially for those of us that had careers beforehand or had businesses or had anything going on before being a mom. It's hard sometimes to sacrifice so much of yourself to become mom.
I like your perspective on that. I've interviewed a couple people that work in that kind of mompreneur world. And I asked my last guest the same question I'm going to ask you. How much of a stay-at-home mom's desire to go create a business is about the money, and how much of it is about creating an identity or getting back to an identity outside of the family? Because it's so easy for parents, either gender, but specifically moms, to get cast in this way where their identity becomes their family and their kids. And we're all so much more than just our family roles. So I'm curious, in your experience, kind of how you've helped people navigate that, and what the real onus is for them to confidently go in this business direction and not just do it to do it, but like crush it.
I attract my clients, my moms who really value that meaningful work and fulfillment above all else. I actually don't attract clients that are desperate for money, desperate to make high income, just care about the money. That is very valid. I understand that I'm in a very fortunate situation, and so are my clients. However, that valuing money above all else is just not what I'm into, given my first business. I truly attract clients who have great lives, who have good lives, and yet a piece of themselves are missing. So they want that fulfillment. They want that meaningful work. They want to feel like themselves again. And then I marry that with high profit, because even though my moms are living good lives, we don't want to work for peanuts. We already have full-time jobs we don't get paid for called mom.
So you're the queen of niching down. Obviously, stay-at-home moms working 2 hours a day to make significant income is a niche. Are there specific types of businesses? Are there any other aspects of that niche? What type of listener that might be out there going, all right, this woman is interesting, and I'm interested in learning more how to work with you. Who is your kind of ideal client? Just give us a little pitch real fast.
Okay, Nick, I'm going to share a couple of my clients. One of my first clients in this business was a fellow stay-at-home mom, and she now owns a thriving gluten-free baking company. We helped her niche down right to the gluten-free, which is really big in our market, and that helped to position herself as a very high-end offering, and she makes bank doing that. One of my other clients, she works with busy coaches online, and she does their back end for them so that they have more time to make more income working with clients and taking on more clients without having to juggle all the balls of a messy back end. And she can work 4 days a week, and she can replace her corporate income with just 4 days of 8-hour days, and then the rest of them on retainer. Another one of my clients, she started a healthy meal prep service, and she actually added no time to her schedule because she was already doing this for her family every Monday. And we expanded this particular skill of hers to just bring in extra income in her own neighborhood. And then one of my clients brought one of her offline skills online, and she helps law firms take care of all of their administrative needs and all of that. And she does that all from home. Oh, and another one of my stay-at-home moms, she's used to be a lawyer, and she had to give up her law career because she has 3 kids at home. She had pressure from her husband, and her company would not allow her to work flex hours. So she chose to give up that law career, but we've niched her down to a specific form of immigration law in our local market, and she can make a good career doing that while her kids are sleeping.
That's one of the points of this entire season of the podcast, is just to show listeners all the different ways people create careers and lives and businesses on their terms. I'm all about building a lifestyle business, hence the name of the podcast. So there are multiple ways to do that. I think the thread throughout this entire season and throughout every example you just mentioned is alignment, creating alignment between what you're naturally good at, what you get fired up by, what you're curious about, and kind of what your needs are and what your situation is, the season of life. So I'm happy that you shared all those examples. We play a little game here called Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is brought to you by Podigy. As you frequent listeners know, I cannot do my own audio editing. I don't do my own audio editing. I also can't talk right now, but Podigy takes care of all that. They clean it up. It's amazing. So if you're an aspiring podcaster or podcaster, check out the guys over at Podigy. So are you ready to play Rapid Fire?
Sure.
All right. What do you think about when you're alone in your car?
I'm never alone in my car.
What's your advice for your previous boss?
Too annoying and micromanaging.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be on a stage inspiring women from abusive backgrounds or any kind of crap background that they truly do create their lives. I'm living proof of it. I live a dream life.
Love that. What inspires you?
Myself, me being big, playing big, being able to share my talents and my gifts to others. And like I said, it's the same story, helping people from abusive, any background where they did not feel good enough, where they felt bad, where they made bad choices, any of those, to then take responsibility, decide on success, and understand that you do create the life that you have now.
What is your biggest fear?
That I'm going to be a bad mother.
Who do you admire the most?
Well, I love Oprah because she has a huge empire.
Which celebrity annoys you the most?
That one I'm drawing a blank on. Apparently none of them.
How do you define success?
Doing something that you absolutely love, feeling great about yourself, feeling pleasure in your work, and getting high profits for it.
All right, last one. You get to share a drink or a meal with anyone in history, dead or alive. Who is it and why?
I want to share a meal with Elon Musk because he just seems so interesting and off the wall. And I'm a huge fan of Teslas. I drive 2 of them.
All right, Kat, you survived rapid fire. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nick.
Knowing what you know now, what's the one thing you do differently if you were going back to start your current business from scratch tomorrow?
My current business, I've been unfolding it really well. The one thing I would totally do differently is at the beginning, I put pressure on myself when I was ready to scale. I would take away all that pressure because your self-worth does not intertwine with how rapidly your business is scaling. And it makes it so unenjoyable. When you can just enjoy the journey of your business unfolding and move into trust that you are in alignment, then your business is going to unfold with pleasure and with ease, and it's going to feel really good and delicious.
I appreciate all of your knowledge, being so open about your background. Before I let you go, where can my listeners go to connect with you more closely online?
You can find me at SAHM Entrepreneur.com. Again, that's SAHM Entrepreneur.com. There I have a free training with the 4 key steps of starting a high profit, fulfilling business. And on my work with me page, there's direct access to me in booking a call if you want to work with me. And my community is on there too. And I'm in my community every single day on Facebook.
All right. We will link that up in the show notes. Guys, like I've been telling you all season long, there are literally limitless ways to create a lifestyle business, and everything from, we've had every example in the world I can think of on this season. And this show is just, this episode's kind of proof of that. So if you're out there on the fence, whether it's Kat, whether it's another guest we've had in this season, I hope my goal for you was to have enough stories and enough successes and understand that nobody's path is perfect. It's not how we drew it up. It doesn't always go the way we planned. It's not always easy. It's not even always fun, but it's always freaking worth it. And so, Kat, I appreciate you helping me kind of really drive that home here in the season 1 finale episode. Thanks for coming on, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Nick.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Kat McLead. Could you tell I was a little uncomfortable? I didn't really know where to go when I heard the details. I thought it was maybe something less specific. I don't know what I thought coming into the interview. But like I said in the intro and what you got from the conversation, anything's possible, guys. And that was really, as we put a bow on season 1 here, the theme throughout the whole season was, the intent at least, was to pull out stories from people that were living life on their terms, that had built lifestyle businesses. We talked about, let's go through some of these. We talked about freelancing. We had an example from a law school dropout. We had real estate. We had retail. We had more than one business coach. We had a guest that went from food stamps to 6 figures in 2 years. And then Kat's story. So I guess my question for you is, if you haven't gotten in the game yet, if you haven't started, or if you have and you've been playing small, if all these people can have success, why can't you? And that's really the onus of season 2. Season 2 is going to be out this fall. and I'm freaking excited about it. It's going to be a short season, but it's going to be jam-packed with cannot miss guests. We're going to talk about what makes this whole thing work inside our head. Because as you know by now, so much of our success, 75, 80%, 90%, I'd say 99% sometimes, is really about the internal dialogue we have. What are our limiting beliefs? What are we conditioned to think is possible? What's a goal? What's too big? What are we worthy of? Are we imposters? Like, who gives us the right? All these things that go through your head as you go out into your business, and certainly as you put yourself out there in the world and start to play a bigger game, those are the topics that we're going to tackle in all of season 2. I can't wait to bring that to you this fall. And just to put another kind of exclamation point on season 1, go back and listen, binge it, share it with someone. If they're on the fence, if you're on the fence, you need further inspiration about getting started or starting to play bigger, go back and listen to these episodes, guys, because I'm telling you, there's almost every business under the sun you can imagine. I tried to bring to you as an example of what is possible for you in your business. So go back, take a listen to season 1, share it with someone. And trust me, if you are doing this thing, or if you want to get out of your own way and really get started, season 2 about mindset, about all kinds of mental toughness, about doing the internal work and really building that business from the inside out is going to be one of the things that the only thing that we hone in on in season 2. It's going to be 10 to 15 episodes. We are going to absolutely blow your mind with the internal work and some of the world's leading experts in terms of mindset in a business context and how you can apply that to your business to not just meet your goals, not just to make more money, but to have the kind of impact that you really want to have in the world, in your family. What does business success really truly mean? Why do you get out of bed every morning to do this? Why don't you just take the easy way out and keep a job, right? We're going to tackle all that stuff and much, much more in season 2. If you haven't yet, I'm going to invite you to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast there on iTunes. Leave your feedback on any specific episode right there in the review. I read each and every one of those, and it means the world to me that you take the time to do that. You only got to do it once, but it's super, super important. So thank you in advance for considering that. And as I say goodbye for a little while here at the end of season 1, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you to get in the game. Trading time for money is no way to live. You deserve to live life on your terms, and building a lifestyle business is the fastest, safest, and best way to do just that. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here through season 1. I can't wait to bring you a bigger, better season 2 this fall. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the Building a Lifestyle Business Podcast. To access the resources mentioned in this episode, visit www.nickmurphy.io.